Pandemics and disasters. Introduction. A sudden accident or natural catastrophe that causes great damage or loss of life is called as disasters. Natural disasters include tsunamis, floods, hurricanes, earthquake, and the volcanic eruptions. Pandemics are not generally considered to be the natural diseases. A pandemic is an epidemic of disease that has spread across a large region, for instance, multiple continents, or worldwide, affecting a substantial number of people. Throughout history, there have been a number of pandemics of diseases such as smallpox and tuberculosis. The most fatal pandemic recorded in human history was the Black Death, which killed an estimated 75 to 200 million people in the 14th century. And currently, a new strain of coronavirus, which originated in Wuhan, China, in late December 2019, had caused a cluster of cases of an acute respiratory disease, which is referred to as coronavirus disease 2019, which is COVID-19. Now let's look into diseases and disasters in detail. The first one is bubonic plague. The Black Death was a devastating global epidemic of bubonic plague that struck Europe and Asia in the mid of 1300s. The plague arrived in Europe in October 1347 when 12 ships from the Black Sea were docked at the Sicilian port of Messina. The plague is supposed to have originated from Asia over 2,000 years ago and was likely spread by trading ships to China, India, Persia, Syria, and Egypt. And this plague had killed more than 20 million people, that is almost 1/3 of population of a continent. Bubonic plague was caused by a bacillus, Yersinia pestis, which is mainly found in rodents, rats, and fleas. This plague affected the lymph nodes and caused it to swell and created black boils. The Black Death caused drastic economic losses to the world. The cessation of wars and a sudden slump in trade immediately followed. Drastic reduction in the amount of crops occurred due to death of the laborers. The economy declined and resulted in the loss of population and food. Next one is smallpox. Smallpox was an infectious disease caused by one of the two virus variants, variola major and variola minor. Smallpox started as an epidemic in the year 1538. The risk of death followed by contracting the disease was about 30%, with higher rates among babies. The first symptoms usually appeared 10 to 14 days after infection, and these included fever, headache, severe fatigue, back pain, and vomiting. After successful vaccination campaigns throughout the 19th and 20th century, the WHO certified the global eradication of smallpox in December 1979. If an outbreak of smallpox were to happen, public health measures would likely include these steps, that is, find and vaccinate infected people and isolate smallpox patients to keep them from spreading the disease. The next disease is yellow fever. Yellow fever is an acute viral hemorrhagic disease transmitted by mosquitoes. The mosquito, Aedes aegypti, carry the flavivirus in it and transmit the yellow fever. During the 1793 yellow fever epidemic in Philadelphia, over 5,000 people died. The virus developed severe symptoms, and approximately half of those died within 7 to 10 days of contracting the virus. At different periods in human history, yellow fever had caused untold hardship and indescribable misery among populations in America, Europe, and Africa. It brought economic disaster in its wake, resulting a stumbling block to development. Yellow fever is an arboviral infection with 3 epidemiological transmission cycles between monkeys, mosquitoes, and humans. Yellow fever can be prevented by an extremely effective vaccine named 17D vaccine, which is based on a live viral strain and is the only commercially available yellow fever vaccine. It is subcutaneous, single injection, and is highly effective. The next disease is cholera. Cholera is an infectious disease caused by a bacterium called Vibrio cholera. The pandemic emerged out of the Ganges Delta with an outbreak in India in 1817, and each year cholera infected about 1.3 to 1.4 million people around the world, killing 21,000 to 1,43,000 people according to WHO. Vibrio cholera is usually found in food or water contaminated by feces from a person having the infection. The symptoms are headache, vomiting, nausea, diarrhea, and abdominal cramps. Cholera is an easily treatable disease, and majority of the people can be successfully treated through prompt administration of oral rehydration solution or ORS. Currently, there are 3 WHO pre-qualified oral cholera vaccines, that is OCV. They include Dukoral, Shankol, and Uvicol. In addition to human suffering caused by cholera, cholera outbreaks caused panic, disrupted the social and economic structure, and could impede development in the affected communities. The panic-induced reaction by other countries included a restriction of travel from countries where cholera is occurring or import restrictions on certain foods. Spanish flu. The Spanish flu pandemic was a severe and deadly strain of avian influenza, a viral infectious disease that killed 50 to 100 million people worldwide over the year 1918. It was caused by the H1N1 and H5N2. The flu was most deadly to people aged 20 to 40. At higher levels of infections, the affected people could die within 24 hours or 1 or 2 days of developing the symptoms. The symptoms included the skin turning blue and their lungs filled with fluids that caused suffocation. In 1918, doctors and scientists fought against this virus by converting schools, buildings, and private homes into hospitals and were staffed by medical students. Citizens were ordered to wear masks and shut down public places, including schools, churches, and theaters. People were advised to avoid handshaking and to stay indoors. The Spanish flu pandemic ended by the death of all those who were affected or developed immunity. In late 2008, researchers discovered what made the 1918 flu so deadly. That is, a group of 3 genes enabled the virus to weaken a victim's bronchial tubes and lungs and clear the way for bacterial pneumonia. Acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, or AIDS. It is a disease caused by the retrovirus human immunodeficiency virus, that is HIV. It is characterized by profound immunosuppression that leads to opportunistic infections, etc. It is a lifelong infection and was first recognized in 1981 in US. It is also the most advanced stage of HIV. Both HIV-1 and HIV-2 are believed to have originated from non-human primates in West Central Africa and were transferred to humans in the early 20th century. The mode of transmission is through body fluids, vaginal fluid, semen, and breast milk. No cure is currently available for AIDS or HIV, but the treatment includes preventative and active treatment of opportunistic infection. HIV/AIDS can lead to poverty, affecting particularly women and young people. Weakened family and societal support systems, decreased participation in formal education, along with depleted family income due to loss of work and poor disease management present additional vulnerability. Effective prevention and care in enabling environments can only help the AIDS patients to overcome the devastating outcomes of the disease. Now let's look onto disasters. Bhopal gas tragedy. Bhopal gas tragedy was a gas leak incident on the night of 3rd December 1984 at the Union Carbide India Limited, that is UCIL, pesticide plant in Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh, India. It is considered to be the world's worst industrial disaster, causing over 5 lakh people to be exposed to methyl isocyanate, MIC gas, and over 15,000 were killed. Methyl isocyanate is an extremely reactive chemical and is used in the production of insecticide carbaryl. The scientific reason for the accident was that water entered the MIC tank and an exothermic reaction started, and the safety valve of tank burst because of high pressure. Due to this tragedy, many health problems started happening in Bhopal. Respiratory problems, genetic changes, cancer, to name a few. Traces of many toxins were found even in the breast milk of mother, which could be transmitted to the children. Groundwater found near the site of Bhopal is still toxic and poisoning residents. There is also alarmingly high rates of birth defects.